Hello everyone, welcome to TechBeechar. This is day 4 of our React Theory Masterclass, and today we are going to cover some very practical and important concepts that you will use in almost every React project. In this video, we will learn event handling, conditional rendering, rendering lists in React. These topics are where React really starts to feel interactive and real. So let's begin. Before diving into new concepts, let's quickly revise what we learned in day 3. What is state? State is a built in React object that stores data related to a component. This data can change over time, usually because of user actions, system events. When state changes, React re renders the components so the UI stays updated. What are props? Props, short for properties, are read only values passed from parents component to a child component. They help us share data between components, create reusable and dynamic components. An important use of props are props cannot be modified by the child component. Re-rendering in React. Whenever state or props changes, React efficiently re-renders only the part of the UI that need updating. This optimization is one of the reasons why React applications are fast and responsive. Now let's move to a new concept, event handling. Event handling is how React applications respond to user interactions. Every time a user clicks a button, types in an input, submits a form, or moves the mouse, an event occurs. Without events, a web page would be completely static. Events are what make application interactive and dynamic. Events are important because they allow us to handle user interaction, create dynamic user interfaces, capture user input, and provide feedback like alerts, highlights, or meshes. In short, events connect users with your application logic. Some commonly used events in React are click, input or change, submit, hover, or mouse events. You will use these constantly while building real applications. Let's understand how React handles events differently from plain JavaScript. In normal JavaScript, events are attached directly to the DOM. Event names are written in lowercase and code is often passed as a string or function call. This approach interacts directly with the browser's DOM. React uses something called synthetic event system. What this means is React wraps browser events for consistency. Events work the same across all browsers. A key difference is events name as camel case, like on click, we pass a function reference, not a string. React manages everything through the virtual DOM. This makes event handling cleaner and safer. Now, let's talk about handling input fields. In React, input elements like input, text area, select uses the onChange event. The onChange event fires every time the value of an input changes. For example, when a user types. We stores the input value in state. Every keystroke updates the state. React re-renders with the new value. This brings us to an important concept called controlled component. A control component is an input element whose value is controlled by React state. That means the input's value come from the state. The onChange event updates the state. State becomes the single source of truth. This makes form handling, validation, debugging much easier. Now, let's move to conditional rendering. Conditional rendering means showing different UI elements based on certain conditions. We need it because applications are not static. We often need to show or hide elements, handle loading states, display different UI for different users. This greatly improves user experience. Some common real life examples of conditional rendering are login logout button, loading a spinner while data is fetched, empty cart message, or error or success message. We provide multiple ways to handle conditions. First, if else statement. Use if else when you want to render completely different components. Best for large UI blocks, clear logic separation. Second is ternary operator. The ternary operator is a compact way to handle two conditions in line. Best for simple UI changes like a login logout type logic. Third is logical and operator. The logical and operator renders something only if a condition is true. If the condition is false, nothing is rendered. Best for optimal UI elements, notifications, or messages. Let's understand conditional rendering using a login logout example. We use state to track whether the user is logged in. Is logged in stores the current state. Clicking the button toggles the state. React re renders the UI automatically. The ternary operator decides which button to show, login or logout. This is a very common real world pattern in React apps. Now, let's talk about rendering list. Most application deals with collection of data, products, users, post, task. React makes this easy using JavaScript map function. The map method allows us to transform an array into JSX elements. For each item in the array, React creates an UI element. All elements are rendered together. This approach is clean, readable, and powerful. When rendering lists, React requires a key for each item. Key helps React to identify which items changed, optimize re-rendering, improves performance. Always use unique and stable values as key. Avoid using array indexes unless there's no other option. Today, we learned how React handles events, how to conditionally render UI, how to render list efficiently. These concepts are core building blocks of every React application. In day 5, we will cover form handling in detail, introduction to use effect, API basics. Make sure you subscribe to TechBeechar and I will see you in the next section. Happy coding!